Am I okay or not?
Yes, we can hear.
You can hear me, ne?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Yeah, thank you so much to be hosted in this great platform that we are having here. I've learned a lot from all the speakers that have been contributing to the struggle of our people, the liberation of our people. Yeah. And may I also say that mine will be too brief. It will really be too brief. Yes, I'm part of the people who are expected to speak, but more than anything, I've discovered that it's me here who has come to be inspired by you. Then, getting straight, when I got into Parliament on 2018, we all took the oath to protect the king and his heirs, the oath to protect the government. Deep down my heart, I knew that it was a turning point. Deep down my heart, I knew that I was carrying a different oath to the oath that was being read there. As a person, as a humanitarian, as a person who has been moving up and down Eswatini, seeing the cries of our people, seeing poverty, seeing the life that is being lived by Maswati on the ground. Some will remember that I had a charity organization that was airing on our local TV station. It was called Makhelwane Simbonangeden. A true neighbor is a neighbor through deeds. As I was doing that charity work, I learned to understand that the true story of our country, Eswatini, is not known by the world. I got to a point where I was convinced that a wrong narrative has been sent to the world. We are said to be a very peaceful country. We are said to be a country where government takes care of the citizens. We are said to be a country where the monarchy, the king, is taking good care of everybody. So the two things in my mind and my spirit could not meet. When I decided to stand for elections under Siphofaneni, it wasn't easy for me to tell the people exactly what was deep inside my heart. But the moment I raised my hand to take an oath inside Parliament, I knew it's the beginning of my tough days. I had learned much that it is dangerous to be right when the government is wrong. I knew that I was ready to face the dangers of being right. Not necessarily to see myself as what, but to be somebody to the people who are on the ground, to contribute for the betterment of our people down there. And let me make it clear that in every society, most importantly in Swaziland, the most people that are vulnerable, the most people that suffer are the two groups. One is women, two is children. I'll make this one very clear. You go to every hospital, every clinic, every morning, you'll find children and you will find women. It's either the women are pushing the children or the women are carrying their husbands, they're carrying whatever to the hospital. You go to schools. During school openings, you check at who's going to be there knocking the doors of head teachers and whatever, negotiating for the children. It's going to be the women. No offense to the men of our place. No offense. But this is the reality I'm talking about. So I'm saying I understood that these two groups, the children and the women, are the most vulnerable. So when I got into Parliament, I had to qualify a number of things. I've always heard that our government, I've always picked that our government doesn't care about the people. I always had faith that, no, one day I'll get there, study the situation, make a contribution. Actually, I was confident. I'm not one person who hears people talk and then runs with that narrative. I want to ascertain myself. I want to be clear on anything. I want to confirm most of the things. I have been there. I'm still there in Parliament. I discovered that the kind of government that we are having, literally, it doesn't care about the people. All it cares about is the agenda of the elite, is the agenda of the royalty. All it cares about. I think I've said this countless times. Making examples will be, how on earth do you go to build a 1.6 billion or 1.3 billion parliament structure? A parliament structure that will be the most expensive structure in the southern region, when your education is not yet free to our children, when our health sector is falling apart. You go there and get prescription so that you can go to the pharmacy and buy that medication. Our public health is in tatters. Our focus is on building that structure. Worse off, 65% of building material should come from the guys who are giving us the loan, that is India. 65% of the building material. Of course, even the labor, I'm not too sure about the percentage, but around 60% of the labor should also come from India. You approve that kind of a loan. When as an MP, I engage the Prime Minister and say, but how can you do that? How can you prioritize this at the expense of our people? Then the Prime Minister, may his soul rest in peace, will boldly tell you that authorities of the country, they need this parliament, so we've got to do it. This is just one of the examples I'll give you to say that in parliament, the atmosphere, number one, is so intimidating inside. And everybody, though they cannot accept out, but everybody will tell you that the atmosphere is not free. So intimidating. You are there. You are forced to embrace what the executive is coming with. I said to myself, is it worth it earning this 49,000 Simelane under the pretext that I'm representing my people, when I know for sure that the interest of the people are being pursued here? I looked at the system and said, where is the biggest problem here? I understood with the other members of parliament that the biggest problem is in the fact that the Prime Minister is not elected by the people. The Prime Minister and his executive owe the people nothing. Why do I say they owe the people nothing with their understanding? It is because they are appointed by the king. For them to maintain their offices on the next term, they must make sure they please the authorities they are appointing hand. I understood that. That's the reason why no matter what the public says, they don't care. Because the public has nothing to do with them. I've talked to many of the people who are in cabinet. They will always tell you that there is only one source of power in Swaziland, and the source of power is with the authorities. Themselves, they don't have power. I've said that countless times. It dawned in my heart that up until we truly attend to the core need of our people. What is the core need? Is the democratization of the governance. Yes, members of parliament are elected by the people, but they are toothless. They can't do anything. The most important structure is the government structure. What is the government structure? Is the executive that's carrying the public purse. He who controls the head of the executive controls the country. I repeat, he who controls the head of the executive controls the welfare of the country. So the head of the executive is controlled by the king. The people have nothing to say. The head of government doesn't fear our people. They take ridiculous decisions that affect the masses. You see, myself with Baghdad and Tandene and other members, we said outside people are calling for a prime minister that will be elected by the people. That was the beginning of all trouble. We have always been persecuted. As I speak now, the two brothers are behind cells. Even before that, my back was always with people wanting to assassinate me and assassinate them. We have always been on the run because we said, for the first time, I will stand inside the system and tell them that our people need freedom. There is nowhere in the world, there is nowhere at this time where we will accept a situation whereby a government is imposed. You cannot tell me we're a government when we're only legislators who are there to be rubber stamps. I'm talking serious politics. I'm talking serious governance of the people. Every head of government must campaign, must commit to people so that they will understand the need of women, the need of children, must commit, must be able to come back and renew the mandate with the people. But in our case, there is no way where the head of government will renew the mandate with the people. It doesn't care about them. So what happened there? The government has been all out to suffocate us. The government killed over 70 people. My people, can I ask you, where on earth will we have a government unleashing soldiers to shoot, to kill, and that government walk free, move around, keep visiting the world as if nothing has happened? I mean, 70 confirmed people dead through the barrel of a gun in a so-called democratic country. So, I said I'd be very brief here. This is what I want to say. I'm saying there's been a narrative which says SADC is just a club. SADC is worried about the heads of states. They say they can't interfere in the issues of the state under the issue of sovereignty. I want to say this. SADC must make a choice. It's either they are relevant to the people of the region or they render themselves irrelevant. It's either they qualify that narrative or they prove themselves as a reliable structure. It is time that SADC worries about the people of the region than the leaders of the region. I repeat, it is time that these regional bodies worry about the citizens of the region than proving themselves to be clubs of friends by worrying about the leaders of the region. Swaziland is a typical example where people have been shot and the government, the king, is only worried about infrastructure. Livelihood adds up to nothing. I'm talking about SADC. I'm talking about the international organization. I want to salute these women's organizations. They are really working hard. They are sending word far and wide. I want to talk about the parliamentary platforms that are across Africa. May Africa rise. May somebody pick the cry of our people. How much blood must be spilled on the streets or on the soil of Swaziland or Eswatini before regional structures rise up? Those people are husbands to women. Those people were women. Those people were sons and daughters to women. And women carry the pain. Women face the much pain of the situation. We've had people being killed by the state. We're having people, every dissenting voice in Swaziland is suffocated. Every voice that seeks to speak for the masses is suffocated, is terrorized. So I'll be very brief here. I'll salute the platform and I will then say, you know what, everybody has influence. Everybody has a place where he can rise. He or she can raise a voice and save a country. I want to say our people are suffocated. And I want to tell our people here in Swaziland, actually, it's like we've got to save ourselves. Actually, it's like we have to find strength within ourselves. Actually, we cannot give up. We must not give up. We must keep pushing. I'm appealing to all the stalwarts of liberation of our people. I appeal to everybody to say, you know someone that can make a difference. I appeal much to the biggest neighbor of us, Swaziland, which is South Africa. Please, how much blood of our people should be spilled? Every political activity is suffocated, is quashed, is met with violence. I'm one person who has been an ambassador for peace in our country, in our struggle. But the government, it seems like they don't understand the language of peace. The government is teaching the people to be violent. I repeat, I've been an ambassador for peace. I still am an ambassador for peace. But there's one thing that is too obvious to ignore. The government doesn't want to understand the language of peace and non-violence. They are really teaching our people to learn how to use guns. They're teaching our people to learn how to use violence. Up until our country's what? SADC will rise when there is what? When the people start shooting the soldiers, when the people start killing the police, that's when SADC wants to rise. That's when the parliamentary the portfolios of the region and the continent will start rising up and saying, let's all go to Swaziland. I'm pleading. It is time. My host, I said I'll be very brief. When I took an oath, it was an oath not to feed my stomach, not to feed my family. It was an oath to stand for the right of the vulnerable people. I would say Swaziland is having around 70% unemployment rate. Yeah, that is it. And I would say most of those people are the youth. I must say that most of the youth who leave school are moving up and down. We have a number of graduates who are unemployable, and some are unemployed. I think you got me well. We have a number of graduates who are one, unemployable, they're on the streets, and others are employable, but are unemployed. We have a number of graduates who could be teachers, who could be what, who are working in our shops, in our filling station. It's really too bad. Now, please be too brief and say, I count on you, our people count on you. You can make a difference. Let's not give up. Let's keep pushing. I believe that those structures, those people who can do something after having this brief meet with us here, they'll go back and say, no, man, this thing needs to be attended. This is the 21st century. We cannot have a government that kills people and goes like that. Otherwise, from me here, thank you so much. I'm honored to be here.